Okay, YouTube, so this is Acid Roots. I've got Trapt's album, No Apologies. Now, with this project, I kind of wanted to check in with Trapt because it's been since last summer since I reviewed anything by them. They just came out with an album back in August, and the thing is that I thought was the amount of hits that they had past Headstrong and a couple others. That this is another band that it seems as if their best days was back in 2003 or so. Now, obviously, they did have several hits on their self-titled debut, which Headstrong, Still Frame, Echo, and there were actually a couple other burners in there that did pretty well. Their second album, Someone in Control, which I've been wanting to review, as just a little bit of laziness has crept in. But thing is that one had the hits on it also. That got three. Two of them were modest singles, but their later records, which I've just only started recently listening to, uh, they've really been either getting one or two hits. And with this album, No Apologies, which came out in 2010, they had one hit, and then after that, uh, the the promotion of the album ceased. There was an attempted second single, but for the most part, it just felt, and it's not so much that I feel like they didn't try. I just can't figure out why exactly the second hit didn't take off that well. In a lot of ways, some people will still say Headstrong is probably their best song. I don't agree with that, but it just feels as if because that chorus is so catchy, it's kind of the illusion that that might be their best song. But, Still Frame was another good one. I think Stand Up was pretty slick. Who's Going Home with You Tonight? These are all great songs. And so Sound Off kind of reminds me of Last Resort by Papa Roach. And I'm liking the fact, you know, Trapt's debut, their 2002 album, what it did was that one kind of did more alternative metal and in some cases post grunge more so than the new metal sound that I was used to back then. So I scored it badly, but this time around they kind of take more traces of what Papa Roach did on their Infest and uh, Love Hate Tragedy albums. So that kind of seems what they did. It has the similarities of new metal, but it also just feels more like metal at this point. So it's refreshing that we don't have to get a style switch up, and it takes all over getting used to it again. But unfortunately, it feels as if whether or not the critics agreed, but also the fans, what they thought, it appears that the reception to this album was not that grand. So Sound Off was the song that sounded like I said, that reminds me of Last Resort. And then End of My Rope is another one that has similarities. So I like the feel of this. I mean, this is definitely, I know that there's other folks like Papa Roach who they remind me of. I just can't think of them. I would almost say I've been mentioning Alien Ant Farm a lot, but that's another group that they remind me of. Not quite as eerie as Korn, not quite as thrashing as Godsmack or Rob Zombie, but they're rougher this time around. It definitely feels like they buffed up and got a little bit more ravenous. So that, I'm proud of that. I definitely appreciated that because Trapt 2002 and in some cases Someone in Control were a little bit calmer and just more rock more so than metal. So out of 11 songs, I wound up liking 7. So before I even start those 7 songs, I'm going to say once again that Sound Off and End of My Rope, go for those songs. Those would be the songs to get introduced to, but there's many more songs on this. It's a worthwhile purchase. The only real weakness to it is just that if you're looking for songs that you can hear on the radio, there's only really one song. So 1 out of 11 would it seem to cripple this, but it just depends upon how much you like music. If you don't care, yeah, this album's a winner. But if you do, you're only getting one song. I don't know how many radio stations played End of My Rope, but there might be a possibility that that one got some spins. But okay, the 7 songs that were the best to me that you need to hear are Sound Off, Drama Queen, End of My Rope. Is it Set Up or Get Up? I think it's Get Up, Stranger in the Mirror, Beautiful Scar, and Overloaded. So between all those moments, really, they do the old Trapt style. If you do like some of their softer songs like Echo, they do have moments like that. So it's basically they cover all the bases that they need to. It simply, depending upon the kind of crowd that you want to be around, you just have to be choosy. So there's more than enough songs for outgoing music. So I was proud of that. So I'm gonna give this album an 8. Me liking 7 out of 11, that's good enough for me. Really, if it would have been 8 out of 11, it probably would have gotten a 9 or a 9.5. The social score gets a 3 out of 10. I mean the Sound Off single charted pretty well, but once again, there wasn't any other song that charted, not even promotional singles. So, yeah, 3 out of 10, that means how well it plays around your friends. And I think really feels good to touch base with Trapt again. I want to do more of their stuff. And the future, they dropped an album in August, so I'll probably get around to that. I'm looking forward to whatever new stuff they have on the way. And can this record be topped? Is the answer is it not in terms of quality, just in terms of a few extra singles to support this. So if we could figure out the reason why folks were not as enthralled and excited about this album, maybe that's something. But you know, obviously I know it has fans, but it still only had one single that charted.